and welcome to another episode of Nerd Age, where we discuss everything nerdy. My name is Mick. With me, as always, are some of my co-hosts, Josh.
What's up?
And Jonah.
Yo, yo.
No, that was Corey.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Corey's not joining us today. He is out sick, so we will do our best without him. Wish us luck.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes.
Yep.
R.I.P. C-Dog.
So yeah, we missed last week because again, sickness is just kind of going through our group.
The plague is going around.
Yeah. Bring out your dead.
So bring out your dead. Get the.
I'm not dead.
So yeah, we got a lot to kind of catch up on. 2 weeks of I almost said Mandalorian, but Book of Boba Fett. That's gonna be our main topic today. So let's jump right in.
Go ahead, shoot.
Yeah, so we had Chapter 4, The Gathering Storm. So yeah, we'll just start there. I had to rewatch it because, it's been so long since we watched it. But basically, it's our last flashback episode.
Yeah.
It's where we finally get caught up to, present time. No more Tuscans anymore. So a lot of people out there, I guess, are happy about that. I don't really get that.
Yeah, it depends.
I'm all about the flashbacks. But I really enjoyed, I thought it was a really unexpected episode. Like I liked it almost felt like The Mandalorian seems a lot like a video game. Like I got to go do this quest and I need to go get these things. And this
I get a reward.
Yeah, this episode seemed exactly like that. It's like, I got to get my shit back. And then Fennec Shand is like, let me scan the building. We get the schematics. It was like the map,
It was even
like know where to go.
Like almost pretty much exactly like the Fallen Order.
Right, yeah.
Stuff with BD. Same design.
But yeah, I mean, I thought it was a cool episode. I enjoyed everything they did in it, and I liked we got to see more of Boba Fett's reasoning for why he's doing everything, which I think a lot of people were kind of like, well, why isn't he a bounty hunter anymore? Why isn't he doing these things?
Yeah, and
it's like, well, you got to be the boss.
Yeah. That's the thing. There's a lot of for those that go on to Twitter and pay attention to Star Wars conversations on the internet, which is a big mistake. It's kind of I don't people I understand are upset that Boba Fett's kind of changed, but to me it's kind of well, Mando has now taken kind of the bounty hunter brutal Boba Fett role, and they need Boba Fett to fill a different role. You can have characters change, especially when you realize he spent 5 years with the Tusken Raiders, basically, you're yeah, he would totally change. So for me, that kind of mentality of, I don't like this series because Boba Fett isn't Boba Fett, but I'm we didn't see much of Boba Fett in the original trilogies. If people are oh, he's weak now, which I made a comment, a couple weeks ago, we talked about oh, does it seem like he's too weak? I'm he got knocked into the Sarlacc pit by a blind person being well, Boba Fett, it's not he was so for me, I've just really liked how they've kind of shown the change, and what he wants to become, and kind of the little flashbacks to him as a child. It kind of shows Boba Fett never really had a choice in what he wanted to be, right? He was a clone. His dad's murdered, and that to me is kind of just he becomes he's forced to kind of take the armor and the helmet, right? And so he never really had a choice in what he wanted to do. It was kind of pushed on him, and so now he's for the first time able to choose what he wants to do, And I just think that's been cool of this show, and I thought the stuff was cool too with him getting Slave One, going and getting that, and then going back to the Sarlacc pit and using the seismic charge was kill R.I.P. Sarlacc. It was fun while it lasted. But Mick, what did you think of this one?
I personally don't understand why people are, I guess, upset about the characterizing traits of Boba Fett in the show. He's gone the way that I would want him to go because, in all honesty, I was never really a Boba Fett fan from the original trilogy. To me, he was just, he was a cool guy that stood around, cool. But that was really it, and there wasn't a lot to him. So this show for me has kind of answered those questions that I wanted to know more about Boba Fett as a person and give him more of a personality. And it's definitely a more just heartfelt story with him. Like you said, he never really got chance to choose what he wanted to do, and now his like kind of rebirth with the Tusken Raiders. To me, it just adds more to him as a character, and I've really been enjoying the show so far. But yeah, the episode 4, I think like you, Josh, I'm kind of sad that the flashbacks are probably gone at this point because it did like add
You're
up.
fully healed now.
Yeah.
You're done with your back.
No more flashbacks for you.
That was kind of funny. I like the flashbacks, but I am glad they're done because I've been waiting for them to kind of, okay, tell me what's going on now. Like, I like that they kind of showed how he saved Fennec Shand. That's, again, if I'm gonna complain or criticize parts of the episode, the worst part of that episode was him going to that
the modder place,
the mod place.
Who was that?
Not so. He's a musician. I don't know.
His name is Thundercat.
Yeah, plays bass for some band.
People were like, "Great seeing Thundercat in the."
I immediately thought of Thundercats. Like I was like, oh, some weird reference I missed.
The scene wouldn't be as bad, but it's the same problem music. I had. Yes, the same problem I had with the chase. It was like this weird, like it just didn't fit, especially when you've had such great music throughout both Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. It feels like those are just like cheap tack-ons. It's like it doesn't fit. If they could have done like even if it was done like the Boba Fett theme during that part, like dun 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 dun, like as that's going on, I'd be like, that would have been a lot cooler. But they did this weird techno kind of like. That's probably what the youth
was it supposed to be
listen to.
Was it supposed to be diegetic music?
I don't think so. Well, actually,
it's his music, so I think it is that's the music that's playing in the parlor.
Because when he walks up, there is music playing.
Yes.
Okay,
and then he steps in, and it's like
because I was gonna say like there have been like really good in movie diegetic. That's what it means.
Yeah,
music in Star Wars with the cantina. Stuff in episode 2.
Well, even in Book of Boba Fett.
There's been good examples of that. So yeah, those musical cues really jumped out as like
they just don't fit to me.
It doesn't feel right.
But other than that, I thought one of the coolest scenes from that episode was when he gets Slave One, and then he goes back and gets the guys the Nikto speeders.
Does that make you happy then?
Yes, because I had talked about like, is he going to do something? And this was one of those scenes where it's like. You kind of just see them riding, you know, and then in the back you kind of see the ship's getting bigger and bigger, and then he just like
I love that shot held that long.
Yes.
Because you're like, what is it? What?
Yeah, it's so good.
And then the sound of the blasters is awesome too. So you feel great that he just murdered people that didn't even kill the sand people?
Psychopath.
Because even Fennec was like, well, that seems strange that they killed the sand people. And he's like, I'm going to kill them anyway.
Well,
it's obviously the Pikes.
Well, yeah, but they probably use them. Like they probably were part of it. Like it's not them alone. I think... for me, it's like, yeah, whatever. Like,
just bloodthirsty.
So those are kind of like the highlights for the episode for me and the lowlights. One of the things that I do, so a lot of people have complained about these mod characters, and the scooters and the bright colors. But one thing I thought was interesting was, I can't remember who brought this up, but I was reading someone that was saying that they see it as, now that the Empire is gone, it's allowing people to kind of begin to like there's new wave of people and freedom, because Palpatine kind of controlled everything. The Empire was just kind of clamping down on the galaxy.
That was his second decree. No weird modern people
well, I'm just saying,
in my universe.
No weird techno music.
I'm just saying, like they kind of see it as like now they're allowed, like the young generations are allowed to kind of do these things that the Empire maybe wouldn't have allowed. So that's kind of like how they're showing which I thought, okay, that would be that's an interesting way to kind of explain that. I still don't think it's the best.
Because to me, I feel like there's other weird people and weird stuff that they do in the galaxy when the Empire was in charge. But yeah, to me, that those specific characters, they feel more at home in like an animated Star Wars. I don't think that the translation there really works for me. So... yeah, I feel like they're universally kind of not enjoyed them.
Yeah, I think the idea is fine, but I think the execution is what's lacking.
Yep.
I like the scene with Black Chrysanthemum. Like even rewatching it, I completely forgot that there was that whole scene in there. But yeah, like I feel like there were people that were confused about like, oh, why is he staring at the Trandoshans like that? And it's because it's like they have like basically like a feud essentially, like Trandoshans and Wookiees. Like Trandoshans hunt Wookiees for fun, basically.
Was it
and slavery?
And slavery. Yeah.
Was that in Legends or is that now like?
No, that's in Clone Wars.
It's in Clone Wars.
There's episodes where Ahsoka goes and they're chasing Chewie. And they kind of do like this Hunger Games kind of like they let them loose and then they go hunt them for fun.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I forgot.
Because their whole thing is like trying to be the greatest hunter.
Well, and the other thing too is in the first episode, he brings a pelt. So it's kind of like.
Yeah, because people are like, "Well,
ripping his arms off."
Man, Black Chrysanthemum just doesn't like fun. It's
like, no, that wasn't it.
Yeah,
they're being too loud over there.
I don't know what it is, but to me, like a Wookiee is like it can take anything, but they seem to be enslaved a lot. Is that just me, or I don't know?
Well,
I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Judging by the looks that you two are giving me,
I don't want to go. I don't want to go there. I have to say something.
Oh. Okay, never mind. Cut that.
But are you guys want to talk about something else on that episode? Or do you guys want to go to the big one?
That episode ended with Boba Fett basically just like,
saying, hey, we're going to prepare for war for a third time. I feel like they've ended it.
No, he's saying we're preparing for war.
Right.
The Pikes are here. Now we need some muscle.
That's right.
So it's just three different statements.
Yep.
And they hit the Mando music when Fennec Shan says, if you know where to look.
I 100% missed that the first time, to be honest, which I don't know how. I just heard muscle and I was like, well, Bad Batch is showing up. Dengar's coming back, and then I think someone mentioned it and I was like, wait, what? And then I was like, oh my gosh, it's so obvious. Yeah, that's the Mandalorian's coming back next.
That's funny.
I think it would be interesting. I think our review of this episode would have been different if we hadn't seen the other one, because I think we would have been speculating like, oh, well, who else is showing up, or like other stuff. But yeah, I think the other thing that was cool about this episode was just like his reasoning of like, I'm sick and tired of getting like all our people getting killed by these idiots who are in charge.
Yeah.
Vader, Palpatine,
and like bringing up the idea of like, I'm gonna make my own tribe. Like he's learned that from the Tuskens. Like you have your own tribe and you take care of that tribe. So I like that as an explanation of why he wants to be a daimyo or whatever. Instead of like people, where people are like, well, he should still be a bounty hunter. Such a fun life. But it was a good episode. I liked it.
Yeah, me too. And then it goes into the episode from last week.
Can I say something?
I don't know.
I feel really bad saying that this episode was my favorite Book of Boba Fett episode.
Don't feel bad.
I mean, it was everyone's favorite.
It was literally everyone's favorite.
It was the best one.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I know, but like it was just such a Mandalorian episode, obviously for good reasons.
It's called The Return of the Mandalorian.
Yeah, to me, it just like it obviously didn't feel like a Book of Boba Fett episode, but
yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of people are saying that, and I feel like they're using it as like this goes to show you this show sucks because I was so excited. That's like, I think that's actually a testament to what they've done with the TV shows in Star Wars, that a character that we didn't even know existed, 3 years ago now it's been, and that we saw, like, you just hear his theme song and you're like, oh my gosh, he's coming back. Like, that's impressive.
This is where I would say, like, it's impressive. When Mando was coming out, everyone was excited for any tease of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Right? And the amount of people being like, oh my gosh, it's Boba Fett. Oh my gosh, the Spurs, you get the Spurs. Oh my gosh, ah. And when he showed up, it was like, ah, like, and now the exact same thing in the Boba Fett show. Like, did you hear the music? Yeah. Oh my gosh, the music.
When's Mando showing up?
Yeah, and then like when he shows up in this episode, people are like freaking out. And I just think that's a cool thing that they've been able to do. They made a fast track to character to be beloved by the fans, which, yeah, what you're saying drives me nuts, where people are like, oh, this means the Boba Fett show sucks. I'm like, no, it doesn't. Yeah. It's still part of the Book of Boba Fett, and it's showing you where Din's been, and it's leading to something else that's going to happen, and he's going to play an important role in the last 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, let the whole series play out before you then be like, oh, Book of Boba Fett sucked. The only good episode was the Mando episode. It's like, no, they're telling a story.
And if you've ever read a book before, they actually focus on different characters sometimes in chapters, or there's interludes with other characters.
Yeah. So. Well, you think about like Lord of the Rings or stuff like that. It's like it doesn't just follow Frodo and Sam the whole time. It splits off to what are these other characters? And it's not like they're directly interacting with each other, you know? So it's like you need to kind of set up where that character is. But going into the episode, that opening scene where Din comes in, the music, how it's shot, and then the Darksaber, when he pulls out the Darksaber, I lost it. I was like, him fighting with it.
Well, and it was like almost a question of, does he have it?
Yeah,
like,
I was waiting for it.
Yeah, I was like,
where is it? Like, he's got his spear. Yeah.
So that was a really
there were plenty of times in this, like during this episode, that I was like, oh my gosh, like out loud, just like the first reveal of him busting it out.
Yeah.
And dude, I love how he's like has this sacred like blade essentially, and he's just like swinging it around, like using it to like collect bounties. I'm like, okay, right on.
Well, I love
Good for you, Mando.
I love too how he's dragging it. Like you can tell it's heavy.
Yeah,
like
he doesn't know what he's doing with that.
And I just think this is where I'll say for people that have watched Star Wars Rebels, these episodes are enhanced. Like for me, it's just kind of like when I think about all the stuff that happened in Rebels with Sabine and the Darksaber and Kanan and Mandalore and all that kind of stuff and Bo-Katan, all that stuff from Rebels makes this stuff be so much more like exciting because I'm like, oh, I know about that, or that's what's happening. So for me, I think if you haven't watched Rebels and you're a fan of Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, I would suggest you go back and watch Rebels. It's on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
It's 4 seasons, right? 4 seasons.
Yeah.
And it's especially in season 2 and 3 is when it really kind of starts picking up on that kind of stuff. So it's worth a watch. You can get through it pretty quickly. But those characters and some of those characters are going to be showing up in other shows that are coming up. So I think it just enhances what's going on.
You'd just be missing so much good, just connective tissue content that, like you said, just it makes everything feel connected and in the same universe.
Yeah, and not in like a forced way, not like a exactly. But like it all just makes sense and it just like enhances everything. But yeah, that opening scene was awesome.
We also get his iconic line.
Yeah.
Which I love that line. It's so good.
And then he just decapitates the dude.
Well, he cut him in half first.
Yeah, and
then he cut his head off.
He was playing with the spoon.
Around,
But that was cool. And then he goes to that ring world, which I know a lot of people are being like, oh, it's copying Halo. Whatever. Like everyone copies everything.
There's so many ring, and it wasn't even a ring. It was like
and the other thing too is like there were
quarters of a
there were books that came out before that were Ring World and stuff like that. It's not a new idea. I mean, Deep Space Nine had a similar thing.
It's ripping off Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
So that place was cool. I really liked how that looked. That was unique to me, especially that shot where he's going down the street and you kind of see it. It's going straight on, and the city's kind of looping behind him. That was really cool. And then the armor being back.
The one shot.
The one shot was cool. Yeah, when he goes in the elevator and goes all the way up.
Single take. Yeah.
That was cool. And then we get to the meat of the encounter with the armor and Paz Vizsla. What do you guys think of those scenes, anyways?
Even from like, this was another moment when, they showed like the little mythosaur logo, and I was like, oh my gosh. Like, oh my gosh, they're there. And then like, it was cool to see like, well, not cool. It's kind of a bummer. You're like, oh, there's just 2 of them left. That sucks. Yeah. Like they helped him escape and then nothing happened. But then that shot where she's just like sitting out in the middle and that's all the space around her. Like there's so many awesome shots in this episode. And then of course, like I also liked like as soon as he pulled out the Darksaber and Paz Vizsla looked at it, I was like, okay, so that's not just an Easter egg where they're like, oh, he's got the same last name as Vizsla. Like they're actually, there's a story, they're building a story behind it.
Well, even the way when she says, bring it here, the way he holds it, he holds it like with like reverence and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
It's cool that there's so much emotion to be able to be shown with people that wear helmets. Because in that scene where he passes it to the armor, you could just, what his face is doing under there.
Yeah.
And that's just really
He went, oh, snap!
That's mine.
Yeah. So I totally think the armor is going to be revealed to be somebody that we know in Star Wars.
You think so?
I think
Han
so.
Solo, huh?
No.
He's like, Leia did this. Maybe I can do it too.
I saw one thing that, what's the guy that got decapitated by Maul?
Mace Windu.
No.
Maul. Okay.
Gar Saxon?
Yeah,
No.
Gar Saxon.
Okay, so he has like a second in command that's a woman.
Yeah.
I can't remember her name. So some people are saying that might be her. That after that all happens, she then goes because she still has the horns.
Yeah.
And that's in Clone Wars they have the horn helmets.
Yeah.
So that would be interesting. I think I can't remember her name, but that would be kind of interesting if it was someone from that then would explain why she knows about Bo-Katan and all that kind of stuff because she fought against their family.
Part of Death Watch, then part of Maul's, and then basically joins this cult.
And that would be an interesting thing for fans, like in Mandalorian season 3 or something, where she takes her helmet off for some reason or something happens, that then fans would be like, oh my gosh, it's her. It would be just kind of a little like Easter egg for those. It wouldn't change anything if you didn't know. But I'm thinking she might be somebody that's, because they've never said her name. She's never has her name in the title, in the credits.
She just credited as
the armor. So I think there's probably something more. Anyways, I think would be cool.
Yeah, I get like, it would be cool. I don't feel like I need her to be someone that we know, but if it is, like we were saying, it connects everything and there are reasons why it would make sense that she would be that character. So
yeah.
I'm fine either way.
And then this whole section is just like a absolute like lore dream, basically, of you're like, oh my gosh, everything you've ever wanted to know about Mandalore. You're like, oh, flashbacks, like that whole scene of like her explaining what
Night of a Thousand Tears.
Night of a Thousand
Tears, which
is
a sick name.
And then how they just got wrecked by the Empire is sweet. And then another shot. It was like, I think I told you, Jenna, it reminded me of Terminator.
Oh yeah,
like that. I think a lot of people are saying that. But
with the IG droids kind of shooting.
Yeah, and then
that was sick.
Yeah, and just her explaining all these things of like, oh, we know why they hate the other man. Not hate, but they're like, oh, the other Mandalorians screwed us over because they lost the way and we survived because we were on
Concordia.
Is that what it's called? Conquered
Dawn?
Yeah, I think so. Conquered Dawn. But yeah, just like awesome, cool lore that like I think people were always wondering about like. But yeah, I mean, the storytelling from all Mandalorian through Book of Boba Fett is just so solid with what they connect, and then people are always like up in arms about something about like that doesn't make sense. Why did they do that? Why are they taking their helmets off? And then it's like there's a just wait, and there's an explanation for it.
That's the thing we talked about is when Mandalorian was happening, there was that. Why can't they take their helmets off? Because in the Clone Wars, it's a retcon. It's a retcon. And I'm like. Wait, like Dave Filoni is writing this stuff. Like you think he really forgot that he let Mandalorians take their helmets off in the Clone Wars? Come on. Like it's that kind of stuff that you're just like, be patient. Like watch the series. Enjoy it.
Sit in it.
And then once it's done, talk about it, but let it play out before you kind of look like an idiot. Like me, like I'll speculate about stupid things and be wrong.
Yeah.
I look like an idiot. Don't be like me. Wait. But yeah, the other thing that I was going to say is I'm glad we got to see kind of a flashback because they've mentioned the Night of a Thousand Tears. Yeah. And when they originally mentioned it, I was like, oh, we're going to see something? And it was just kind of like references to it. And so when, she held up the spear and it kind of like went, wee, and it turned into a moon, I was like, oh, we're getting to see it. It was pretty awesome. So I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool. Again, going back to the theme over and over again, just connecting everything. And yeah, they mentioned that in Rebels?
No, because it hasn't happened yet in Rebels, right?
They don't mention
because it hasn't happened yet.
Oh,
because she's saying that the problem is that Sabine gave the Darksaber to Bo-Katan, and that's basically why they were too weak. Okay. They mention it in Mandalorian season 1, I think, because Moff Gideon mentions it. Yeah, and they've kind of pointed at or hinted at it before. But yeah.
So then Paz Vizsla wants to get the Darksaber. He wants to win it in combat, and so they fight, and he can't do it.
Is it still Jon Favreau?
Yeah.
So Jon Favreau's voice, and basically what ends up happening is the armor asks if they're taking their helmets off, and Paz was like, "Nah,"
nah, I'm good.
And Din's like,
"Come again? What was that?"
And he's like, "Yeah, I've taken it off." And so she says, "Then you're a Mandalorian no more," which was
I felt bummed out
for him, because he was like, "Man,
I was stoked that
I don't have my Grogu anymore."
And I was stoked because they were like, "You can be part of our what do they call it? What do they call themselves? Not convent, something like that."
Yeah, Coven, something like that.
I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be sweet. Mandalorian season 3 is gonna be awesome."
Yeah, so he is not a Mandalorian anymore, I guess.
He has to go take a bath somewhere.
Yeah.
He has to bathe in the lake under the mines of Mandalore, which are destroyed. Interesting thing. I saw someone else saying that how cool would it be if he ends up finding, that place. And he's like that he finds Mythosaur. Because they say they are extinct, but he maybe finds like a living one or something, and
that'd be cool.
He rides that with his Darksaber.
Burst out of the ground.
I'm like, okay,
mark this. This is gonna happen.
That would be awesome.
We are calling it.
But he ends up going back to Tatooine, and getting a pretty cool ship. What do you guys think of that?
Oh, you forgot. He did get something made for.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
In the cutest little pack ever.
Yeah, he gave the spear to make some armor, which was cool. Mm-hmm. And he's carrying a little pouch for a foundling.
It was chainmail.
It seemed like chainmail, yeah.
I mean, that'd be a pretty crazy misdirect if they like showed you the little ring she made, and then she's like,
"It's a helmet."
Yeah,
it's a flexible helmet.
Yeah. So, what did you guys think about him going back to Tatooine in his new ship he got?
Oh, the N1.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so cool.
Yeah.
That's up there with like one of my favorite ships of all time. And again, just honoring the past with specifically the prequels. I loved seeing the ship, and I don't know if do you like the one character? What's her name?
Pelimoto.
Yeah, I haven't liked her because her delivery to me.
You're a hater, that's why.
Her delivery to me feels a little more like
no eyebrows thing, right?
Her delivery just feels like Jawas, like it just doesn't feel Star Wars. But I actually didn't mind her in this episode. I thought she was okay. There's some lines that I was like, more writing. The furry Jawa thing. I dated a Jawa once. I was like, but she didn't. I really liked her when he was flying and she was talking through the radio. I thought that was really well done. So she's growing on me, kind of like some Jawa hair. But I mean, she hasn't been my favorite.
Yeah, I don't mind her. I don't think she's my favorite, but she's fine. I do think that the episode should have just called "Hey, look, it's Mando."
Yeah, hey, look.
That was pretty funny.
We got to see Womp Rat.
Yeah, we got to see a lot of things. We got to see a Womp Rat. We saw a BD droid from Jedi Fallen Order, which was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I think that's one of my favorite droids. He's so cute.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Well, and even there's a moment where because he doesn't like droids,
Yeah.
But when he asks him, hey,
thanks, buddy.
Can you tell me where this panel goes? And he shows him, he's like, thanks. Did he say buddy or thanks, little guy?
Something like that.
And the droid's like, yeah. I was like, character development.
Yeah, there you go.
It's funny though, because I mean, I'm assuming that just based off the size of the ship compared to his Razor Crest,
Is he gonna strap his
bounty just on the back
to the back?
I'm wondering if he's
not going to be a bounty hunter.
yeah, that's what I'm wondering. He's gonna move away from that, but it does have the little Grogu pod.
What about this? Follow with me, guys.
Time.
Speculation time.
There we go.
Let's speculate here.
We're not gonna get this.
What happens if he goes to see Luke and Luke's like, you know what? I'm starting a school. You did such a good job finding this Grogu. What if you go in around and look for more Force-sensitive children? And so now he's got a little compartment he can, hey, you Force-sensitive? Throws a kid in there, takes him to Luke.
That's kind of sick,
different kind of bounty hunting.
Yeah, like he goes and he like seeks out children that are Force-sensitive. Like Luke sends him, hey, go here. And he goes and he just brings him back to Luke. That would be something that I'm like, that would be interesting.
Still seems like a bigger ship, but...
Like
how many trips would you go? Like,
and
okay,
the other thing I'm going to say is,
well, I've got twins. They got to jump in there together.
He's definitely going to get another ship. I think he's going to get a bigger ship, and he's just going. That's going to be his like. It's like, you know, people that have a minivan for the kids, and then they have a Ford Fiesta.
Yes.
You know,
he's going through his midlife crisis.
Yeah. And so it's just you can have plenty of ships. You know,
have an impractical ship.
Yeah. So I just think it's a cool ship for now. Especially he's got the dark saber. You know, he's got the cool ship to go with it now.
Definitely loves the chrome look.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he even left a little yellow on it, just like this Razor Crest.
Yeah, it's
that ship was so cool. And I can't wait for the Lego set.
That's the first thing I said. I was like, no, that's going to be sweet when it comes out in Lego form.
Dropping $100.
Yeah, it was cool just seeing and I've liked when the episodes take their time with things. I think they could have blown through like putting the ship together like way faster. And to me, I wouldn't have liked that. So I like that they took their time. And then when he takes it out for a test drive, it was again just a real cool kind of nostalgia trip of him going through Baker's Canyon and through the pod racing places, and
that was sick.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting what they've done with this show, where they're like not reclaimed the prequels, but like in a lot of people's eyes, like people hate the prequels. Even Jon Favreau said before, he's like, oh, I like the original trilogy. I don't like those old ones so much. And then Dave Filoni's like, yeah, I'm trying to teach them to appreciate it. Yeah. And it's like
mission accomplished.
They sneak in these things that you're like, hey, that was from the prequels. Yeah. That's pretty sweet. Yeah. I like that they're doing that.
They deserve respect.
Well, when they drop like even little things that you're like, she drops the name of the Queen of Naboo and like all that kind of stuff. It's just... It's not that big of a deal, but for a fan, and I love the prequels. Like, I was the right age for me to enjoy the prequels. You know, I remember when we first watched it. I think we got Attack of the Clones. My parents rented it. My dad didn't finish the movie. Like he hated it. He left. And Josh and I watched it like 4 times watched it that first night, and then the next day we put it on, watched it again. It was just like. Is it the greatest? It's no, especially now when you watch it now, you're like, the acting is bad. But I grew up loving those movies. So for me, the prequels have always been like, I can see the flaws and I can see what people complain about. But at the end of the day, it's Star Wars and I love it, you know?
How old were you guys when...
I can't remember.
Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace was 99, right?
99, yeah.
I don't do math, Mick. I was the right age, okay?
So I was 8 whenever it came out. I do remember walking back from the bus. We took the bus to go watch Phantom Menace, and then we were walking back.
Pretending we were doing lightsabers. Yeah. But yeah, like you said, they're doing stuff that if you've seen those movies and you enjoy them, even if you didn't, you're still like, oh, that's cool. Yeah. You know, and like you say, maybe reclaiming the prequels, which is a good way to think about it. But it's cool stuff.
I think we're going to get just more and more of that, especially with Obi-Wan.
Dexter Jester, baby.
Obi-Wan.
No, do you know who's showing up? You know who's showing up in the Obi-Wan?
Obi-Wan?
Kitster.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty sweet when he pulled it. He's like, wizard.
Yeah. See? What I'm talking about.
Stuff.
What if Kitster is the armorer?
There you go.
Oh my gosh, that's a good
there you
call.
go.
I think Kitster's going to show up in the Obi-Wan.
That'd be cool.
Kitster Benai or Benoy or whatever his name is. But so is there something else you guys want to talk about before? I mean, obviously at the end of the episode, Fennec Shand shows up and is like, hey, we need your help. And then a really cool scene. She tosses him the credits, you know, and then he says, who's it for? And then he's like, it's for Boba Fett. And he's like, tell him it's on the house, right? That I was like, yeah. And he's like, but first I gotta go visit a little friend. And it ends. So my question to you guys, are we going to see,
I already got the answer,
in episode 6, him meeting Grogu and Luke potentially, or is that going to happen off screen? We're going to be focusing on Boba Fett and the Pikes and this thing, and then Din's going to show up. Mando will show up in episode 7 maybe when they need him most. That sweet ship's going to come through and just mow people down. And then they're saving that reunion for Mando season 3, or will we see it?
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's 100% what's going to happen.
Yeah.
As much as I want to see Grogu now, I actually want to save it for season 3 because I want to focus on Book of Boba Fett. It's called the Book of Boba Fett. Come on, guys. So yeah, I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Yeah. They've teased us. They're like, hey, we're gonna go visit Grogu, and then we're just gonna go right back into Boba Fett riding his Rancor, and then Mando's gonna show up when they need help.
Yep.
And Grogu's gonna be manning the guns.
All right, just
a little chainmail armor.
Just to be different, I'm gonna say we're gonna see it. A little part of it, maybe. But I'm just saying different. I think you guys are right.
I think it would.
But I mean, it's not fun.
The moment.
It's not fun if everyone. No, it won't cheapen the moment. If they have a
Jonah, it'll cheapen the moment.
Well, first thing I will say,
because we're gonna feel rushed.
Devil's advocate.
Okay.
This next episode is the only one that Dave Filoni has writing credit on. Mm-hmm. So
that's the only thing that makes the question.
And he's directing this next episode. So he hasn't been involved in any of the other writing. It's always been Jon Favreau. This one is the only Ahsoka episode.
This is the Ahsoka pilot.
It could be. So the reason
we got Mando season 3, 2.5.
Yeah, okay.
And then we've got the Ahsoka pilot, and then we got the.
So I'm wondering if they don't have Din go and do like maybe the episode's a little longer, maybe an hour and 10 minutes, and you can have Din going off finding Ahsoka to be like, hey, do you know where Luke is? Can you sense anything? And that kind of gives you a little bit like, hey, what's Ahsoka up to? And she's like, I'm looking for Thrawn, whatever.
By the way, I'm doing this.
Yes. And then you have Din going and seeing Grogu and Luke, while you also have Boba Fett recruiting bounty hunters, and you can go back and forth like they would in a normal Star Wars movie where you have two things going on at the same time.
This episode better be 2 hours long.
That's me playing devil's advocate. I could see that happening. The only reason I see that happening is because Dave Filoni wrote stuff on this, and when he's on stuff, he tends to pull in his own characters because he's the only one that likes writing about Ahsoka. It's his baby, right? So he doesn't relinquish that. So that's the only reason I would say maybe we're gonna see a little something, maybe not the full thing, but like him get there and then I don't know.
Or what if, again, for the reasons of it being Dave Filoni, what if it's Bad Batch?
Okay. Yeah.
And it's still more like focused in still with Boba Fett not really going off and telling
Bad Batch, all the Clone Wars bounty hunters like Embo.
I mean, because you have
that's true.
You have Tamora Morrison, so what could be easier to do?
Yeah. So that's okay. Yeah, it could be.
I'd rather have that because I know I'm going to get the rest of it in Mando season 3.
Exactly.
All right.
That's my.
Well, we'll see.
But I will say, Bryce Dallas Howard is an amazing director. She did what I can't remember what
she did the Village one. I can't remember what that one is in season 1.
which wasn't the best one.
I really like that episode.
I love that one. Yeah, with the
get out of here.
Yeah.
With the Jurassic Park one.
Yeah, exactly.
And that she did the heiress. So when Bo-Katan first shows up.
Yeah.
In season 2,
which I really like that one. The first one I could give or take. The first one she didn't end up being the best one of the series. I would argue that the Bo-Katan one might be one of the best ones of the second one if it weren't for Luke showing up at the last one.
Okay.
But the first one, it was kind of like, oh, okay, this is maybe it was more so because just the story was like generic, and I felt like I'd seen that story before in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, they've done it.
But I do agree, she's awesome.
I just loved everything about this episode.
Let her do Solo too.
Yeah, give her a show.
Her dad did the first Solo,
that'd be kinda cool,
so then you could have her do the second Solo. When Kira shows up in episode 6 and Han Solo shows up in episode 7, then they're gonna announce, Bryce, tell us how we're doing Solo 2.
I'd watch it.
You heard it here first.
Or why don't you let her do a Crimson Dawn show?
That would be sick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited for the next 2 episodes.
Yeah, and this will be dropping the day before the new episode drops. So, do you guys think it's just gonna be like you guys said, no Grogu, no Luke, just focusing on Boba Fett getting more muscle, set up
his armor or like his muscle, and then maybe we'll have a little bit of conflict before the big reveal. We're gonna have a big reveal at the end of the episode, setting up who the bad guys are. Have you guys
changed your mind? Because I said Kira's showing
Omega
up.
And
I said Kira's showing up. I don't think you guys said she was.
Does Tamara Morrison play Omega?
Yeah, he does. They de-age him.
So have you changed your mind? Is Kira showing up?
I never said she wasn't showing up.
Yeah, we made the list. I said she would. You guys said no, right?
I think I said no.
I don't remember.
So I don't know. Have you guys changed at all?
I don't think she'll show up.
Okay. I just think there has to be someone that's the bad guy over the Pikes. Like it's right now, it's just like that one Pike dude that was like, that he met with. I'm like, you're not the bad guy.
Yeah.
And the way that
it's Darth Maul again. He's back.
I said Futs. The Huts. The way the Huts were like, someone else claimed this. I'm like, it's not the Pike dude.
Like Dank Ferrick.
Yeah, Dank Ferrick. Futs. I just think there's someone.
I think before the series started, I didn't think so, but everything that's happened, it definitely seems like there is some bigger, Godfather character that I think Kira and Crimson Dawn definitely fits into. So, you know what? I'll change my mind. I'll say she shows up.
I mean, I can't think of anyone better to be like the big bad guy.
And it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, that'll do it for this discussion. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. So,
see you next time.
See you next week.
Later.
Bye.